Guys, something unprecedented just happened in Ukraine. For the first time since Russia's invasion began, thousands of Ukrainians took to the streets protesting against their own government. Yesterday, President Zelensky signed a controversial law that strips independence from Ukraine's main anti corruption agencies. I call them NABU and SAPO, but actually they're just acronyms NABU, SAPO. Now, these bodies have apparently been investigating high level corruption since 2015 after the 2014 Maidan revolution supported by the Western powers that overthrew Ukraine's more Russian aligned president in favor of Zelensky now. Protesters in Kyiv, Lviv, and Dnipro just in the last couple of days chanted, quote, veto the law and, quote, corruption equals death, with many young people upset at how the administration has handled the Russian invasion. And they're now upset that Zelensky's government has taken these anti-corruption measures, steps. That's the news. Now, here's the geopolitical analysis. As soon as I can get this battery, inna lillah. That's the news. Now, here's the geopolitical analysis without the spin. Guys, Russia has been sitting on a partial victory for months now. The only reason why Ukraine has not given up and negotiated for a peace is because the Western powers of Europe keep supplying it with just enough support to keep in the fight, and the US, of course. But now Europe is going to pay for it, like Mexico paid for the wall. Not enough support is given to Ukraine, mind you, for them to win, but not little enough that Zelensky decides, okay, it's over, let's pack our bags and go to the peace negotiation table with Russia. It's geostrategically, because I give unbiased analysis here, right? I'm just giving the analytical take. You pick which side you're on, but let me explain what's going on. It's geostrategically beneficial for the Western powers led by the E3, UK, France, Germany. It's beneficial for them if Ukraine stays in the fight, because keeping Ukraine propped up to fight sacrifices Ukrainian lives, sure, but it only costs a little bit of money compared to all-out direct war with the ones Ukraine are fighting, and it keeps Russia, occupied without directly fighting Russia as the UK or Germany or France. Now, keeping Russia occupied, big win for the Western powers of Europe that see Russia as the great Eastern European adversary. It keeps the Russian bear occupied so the Western powers can rearm Western Europe. Now that America has made it clear it doesn't want to get involved, or more involved, I should say, in wars abroad, including Middle East, including Eastern Europe, Western Europe then is now in a sort of panic mode, and they're ramping up defense spending so they can theoretically hold down the NATO in Europe fort against Russia should the bear come pouring west. They also have Turkey to stress about, because Turkey, anytime Turkey is in NATO, a very big player in NATO, but they could just yeet themselves out whenever they want and suddenly remember that technically the majority of the country is in the Middle East and 99% of the country is Muslim. Now, Zelensky passing these laws, these anti-corruption laws, makes sense if he wants to continue staying in power. He needs dissent to be stamped out. He's already at war with Russia, guys. He cannot be at war with Russia and his own people and his opposition too. It's too destabilizing. To that end, voting is now suspended, right? No elections during wartime. Zelensky's president even past his term, something that Russia is more than happy, of course, to keep pointing out. But with Zelensky's latest move, the Western powers of Europe, his allies, who are funding him and keeping him sort of dangling by a thread, but still surviving in this conflict, the Western powers of Europe are unlikely to be happy, right? And if they aren't happy, Zelensky risks having his support in military and financial aid diminishing. Already, Zelensky is on record, widely reported in just the last couple of weeks. I've read articles, even from Western sources, English written, no translation needed. In just the last week, he's been complaining that aid money is too slow to arrive. Like a homeless man getting frustrated when you, a passerby who felt sorry for him, take out your wallet, but it takes too long for you to pull your wallet out and pull the notes out. Protests in Ukraine now are definitely a bad thing for the Ukrainian administration. Ukrainians, by and large, don't want to remain in an unwinnable war. So it makes sense why they're upset, especially since Russia has kept up the pressure, to make their presence known to remind the Ukrainians that this conflict is still going on. Uh, if not in military ground assaults by Russia, because they've scaled those back, but definitely with drones and missile barrages as far west as Lviv, to make sure they know that the whole country is in a conflict. You better go to the peace table now. The geopolitical analysis of the situation is clear. A peace deal, starting on Russian terms, because Russia's winning, but potentially negotiable in Ukraine's favor. You can start out where Russia wants to start and then negotiate backwards, because Russia wants peace as well, right? A peace deal is the only way forward for Ukrainian prosperity. So am I pro-Ukrainian now? You know, I don't think many people would accuse me of being so, but anyway, give up the goals of joining NATO as Ukraine. Give up the southern oblast of the DLZK front, the Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia, Kherson front. Give those oblasts to Russia. They've long occupied it now. They're in long occupied status. Keep the remainder of the 80% of your country. Rebuild it, keeping better relations with your great regional power neighbor, Russia. You know, that's the reality of the situation that you have to align to. That's the only realistic conclusion to arrive at. Anyone who disagrees, tell me what you suggest. I'm all ears. Time will tell if former comedian president at the moment, Zelensky, comes to his senses, or if he keeps cracking jokes and touring the Western world begging for money every chance he gets, while soldiers on both sides of this conflict in Eastern Europe continue to die. Guys, don't forget to like and heart this post, bookmark and save this post, and drop a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. Huge love, especially to my African peeps. So many comments of people watching from Ghana, Kenya, and South Africa. They come to mind, especially for me at this moment in time. But much love to all of you, of course. I appreciate the support from wherever it comes from. It's really motivating to see. I've got everything from Americans all the way to Chinese, Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis like myself, Brits, you know, other Europeans. Is great. It's great. Let's keep learning. Let's keep teaching the facts without the spin, the news without the Western bias, even though we're speaking in the language of the West, Inglesia. For the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin, I'm Mahfouz. It's a pleasure. Pleasure? The flip is pleasure. It's a pleasure to keep conveying to you the news. And I'll see you on the next one. Please no. Please no.